Hello everyone, how are we all doing? I hope you are doing well. Spring has sprung. Spring is here. And do you know what? I'm feeling so good about it. I think that spring just really does make me feel like a whole new woman. I think any new season does. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's like a good change every time. Like when it gets to like the end of summer and it's starting to get colder, I'm then like ready for winter, which is weird because I hate winter. But like, you know, from like, what is it? Like September through to December, really good time of year. It's like Jan, Feb that are just a bit meh. But anyway, it is spring and I'm really, really, really very much enjoying that it's spring and it's here. And good things are coming, right? Good things are coming. Today I actually wanted to talk about situationships and getting over someone who was never yours, who was never someone you were actually with. In this day and age, it's almost quite normal to have a situationship and have to deal with it. And I think sometimes we are almost led to believe that if you weren't actually with them, then it shouldn't hurt. It shouldn't be that sad. But actually, it does hurt and it is hard. And it's one of those things that I think that you invest a lot of time in someone. When you first meet someone, when you're first dating someone, you invest your time in them because you want to get to know them, you want to see them. Whether you only see them twice in 2 weeks, you're still investing 2 days that you're giving your time to. You're texting them, you're speaking to them all the time. Like all of those things are investing your time that if you weren't talking to them, you'd be doing something else or thinking about something else. And I think that we often feel that we shouldn't feel so upset when we haven't been with someone, like they're not actually yours, they're just someone you were dating. But, you know, feelings are very easy to catch. And also, like when you're getting on well with someone, you naturally are going to fall into that, like really enjoying their company. It's like if you were really good friends with someone and then you all of a sudden stop talking. You'd feel upset about it. You feel down about it. You'd constantly be thinking, what have I done wrong? So it's kind of the same with a situationship or a relationship or anything. I mean, if you are in a relationship and you've been broken up, no, that makes no sense. If you are in a relationship and you've broken up with someone and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to get over it. It's almost a similar situation. They're different. They are different, but there's lots of similarities in the way in which you can get over someone. But I think with situationships, they often are really, really intense very, very quickly. They're like a real quick go, 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 go. You're enjoying it. You're having fun. Often there's love bombing in there, especially if it's a situationship in particular. But like, you know, you get the love bombing, you get that, oh my God, he's so amazing. Oh my God, I love him. Oh my God, he loves me. Oh my God, he took me here. Oh my God. And then you're like, oh, that was all a lie. That was all a lie. And it can be really, really shit because you enjoy it. Like, it's nice. And I think also if you've never been through a situationship or you're new to dating or you haven't experienced lots of different situations, sometimes situationships and the ending of them can come as a real shock and it can real hit you hard because that did happen to me. And I think that situationships they're just a lot. They are a lot. And especially when they end, that is the point that's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then you have to deal with all this emotion that you don't really know what to do with, you weren't expecting to do with, and it's just chaos. The reason why I actually wanted to talk about this was because I recently was talking to someone, I was seeing someone, and it ended not for a bad reason, not for like a reason that I think I am like, you know, angry about or anything like that. But it ended. And I was really sad. Obviously, naturally, you're going to be. It was kind of unexpected. And it got me thinking about these situations and how you get over them. I'm very lucky in the sense that I feel really good in myself at the moment. And I kind of feel like I can handle it. I've managed to handle it quite well and I feel good in myself. I know it's not to do with me and I know that there's nothing wrong with me. It's a him situation and I just have to let the situation be. I can't do anything about it, even if it was a shock and even if it does upset me and it is even if I do miss him, I can't do anything about it. But situationships are just shit. I wouldn't say that was a situationship. We were dating for a couple of months and it ended, and there's nothing, like I said, nothing I can do about it. But it did get me thinking about, okay, well, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about situationships and how to get over them, and what you can do to make yourself feel better, and how you can understand why it was a situationship and not anything more than that. One thing to note is that these things are never expected. We never expect these things to happen, especially in a situationship, because when you date someone and it's going well, you never anticipate an ending, not that soon. You anticipate to be with them for the next step, especially if it's going really well. When you're dating someone that's going well, you aren't even thinking about the possibility that it could end. That doesn't even cross your mind, like, at all. And, you're enjoying their company. You're like, oh, when's he going to ask me to be his girlfriend? And then it doesn't happen because they're like, oh, I don't want anything. Or, I'm just not ready for a relationship right now. And you're like, please, what? What is wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me. But we never expect it. And I think that they come out of the blue so randomly, or it's like you yourself say something. I do think, girls, ladies, if you're listening, let me know if you agree with this. But I do think that often things like this come about because a girl's maybe hinted towards something or said something, or you've brought up the conversation. I find that guys don't really like to talk, and they don't like to bring stuff up, or they like to keep things hidden. It's just easier. And then when you do bring something up, they're like, no, I don't want anything. And it's like, so that's annoying. And I think that's when, even if you like spark that conversation, you don't expect it to end. That's never your reasoning, unless you've had like a few feelings that it might be the end. But it happened to me last year, and I was like, what? I was so confused. I was so baffed by it. I was like, hang on a minute, like, you're walking away from me? Very glad it happened, actually, but that's hindsight. We always are happy it ended when we look back on it. But getting over someone is literally like never the easiest thing ever. It doesn't matter whether you've been in a relationship or whether you are seeing them, you have those feelings. You're naturally going to have those feelings, and it's never easy to get over someone. But you have to remember that when you are feeling sad, when you are feeling down, when you are having these moments, when you realize, oh, the person I thought I was going to be in a relationship doesn't want me, you have to remember that you're allowed to feel the way you are feeling. Just because you've been dating them for 2 months, just because you've been dating him for a month, just because you weren't together, doesn't mean to say you can't hurt, doesn't mean to say you aren't allowed to feel how you feel. There is nothing wrong with feeling upset about something that ended, especially when you've invested time, especially when you did like them and you want to give them your time and you want to spend time with them and you had really good moments. Like, every situation, every relationship, everything, every person you meet, you create memories with them, right? So regardless of whether they have treated you like shit and they've ended it or not, you still have those memories. There are so many memories I have with like a previous, like my ex, or like boys that I've dated, like good dates, things that I've been on, like, same with friends. If you're not friends with someone anymore, you still have those memories. Those memories don't disappear. They're still good memories. Just because you're not with them or you're not seeing them anymore doesn't mean to say that those memories that have to disappear. Those memories are there, and naturally you're going to feel a bit sad when you think about all the good times you've had, because that's where your mind's going to go. It's going to go to those places where you're like, oh, remember when I did that, or something will remind you of them, or something will remind you of that situation, and you think, oh, that was funny. So like all of those things just like, all come together, and they make you feel a certain way. They make you feel sad, they make you feel upset. You're going to feel hurt, because if you weren't expecting it, then you're going to feel hurt. Even if you were expecting it, you're still going to feel hurt, because like it's ended when you didn't expect it to, and those things are just never nice. But one thing I will say in this situation, if you're upset after being broken up with, after being dumped, after being thrown away, like, bye, don't want you anymore, cry it out. Genuinely cry it out. I have been through this a few times now. And when things don't go to plan, it's really sad. Don't suppress the emotions. Really, literally cry it out. If you're sat there for hours on end crying, just cry it. I feel like sometimes we feel like, oh, we shouldn't be sad about something, so we won't cry. We're like, no, I'm fine. Like, we'll just be like, no, I can deal with this. Like, I'm fine. When actually all you need to do is just cry. I sat on the sofa not too long ago. It was probably about, I don't know, let's say 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon till about 10 p.m. in the evening. I was crying. I cried. There was a few breaks in between, but like I was crying a lot because I felt like if I didn't get it out, it was going to continue and go through the days. And I have things to do. I have a life to live. I don't want to sit and cry, but also you have to let those tears out. Crying is really good for you, actually. If you didn't know that already, crying is very good for you. It's good to like just have a cry and just let it out. Sometimes you need it. And with something like this, you definitely need to cry it out. If you don't feel like crying, if maybe you're not a crier, you don't have that, maybe take your sadness out on something else, like maybe go and do a workout class or something like that can like release that emotion for you. Everyone is different. Me crying it out worked a treat, like literally worked a treat. I was like, oh my God, I actually feel so much better. I just needed to let it out. If I didn't let it out, it was just going to stick with me, and there's no way you can move on if you're not going to let the emotions just come out. It might take you a week, it might take you a day, it might take you 3 weeks, it might take you 2 months. All of that is like fine. You're allowed to feel that, you're allowed to have those feelings, and you're allowed to, take your time with it. Sometimes it also depends on like your current mental state and how you're doing. If you're not doing very well in your own self, aside from the relationship that you were having, then naturally it's going to be a little bit tougher. I struggled last year because I was really, really low, anxiety wise, everything. Like I was in a really like low place, and then I got dumped, shall we say. It's not really the right word, but like my situationship ended, and he quite literally kicked me whilst I was down, and I struggled so much. I had to do so much mental like self-love and like working on myself to get myself back to like a normal level, and then also get over him. It was like climbing a mountain, but I got there, and that is the main thing. But yeah, the main thing, the number one thing when it comes to getting over a situationship or a relationship or a dating scenario or whatever, is feel the feelings, let yourself feel them, let yourself cry, just let it all out, let the tears out, flush them away. Don't sit there and think, oh, I'm not crying over a boy, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to cry over a boy. No, just cry over the boy. Cry over the boy, get it out, and then move on with your life. And then the tears are gone, and you won't spend another day thinking about the tears that you need to cry. Because if you don't cry out on one day, you're going to leave it. And then a week later, you're going to see something, or you're going to watch something, or you're going to see a nice like couple together, and it's going to spark that emotion, and you're going to dip into a low feeling. We don't want that. So just let it out, and then we can have hot girl summer. Do you know what I mean? Once you let the feelings out, you have to cut ties. Now, I'm not saying that you have to completely cut them out and unfollow them and block them and all those kind of things. No. But you have to cut ties on texting them, having conversations with them. Maybe you mute them on social media. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to unfollow and block. Depends on your feelings. And just take some time to like have them out of your life. Sometimes I think when you see like what people are doing and how they're living their lives, and maybe they're going on nights out, and maybe they're posting lots of pictures, and I don't know, whatever, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna see it, you're gonna feel it, and it's not a nice feeling, because you're like, oh, they're living their lives and they're all fine, and I'm here upset. So cut ties. Don't text them, don't call them, don't have conversations with them. If they end it, they end it. Archive them on WhatsApp. Maybe block their number if they're really persistent, and if they keep texting you, just say, like, look, this is over, we're not texting. On Instagram or social media, just mute them, because it will really help just to mute them. Like, you don't have to unfollow them. I still follow like quite a few people that I've dated. God knows why, actually, because there's not really a reason. But I'm not someone who unfollows people that often unless I'm like really pissed off with someone and I'm like, goodbye, or I don't like them. Because I don't really see the point, to be honest. Half the guys that I've ever dated anyway never post on social media. So you never see them and you forget that they even exist until you see them view your story and you're like, oh. And then you find out that they've got a girlfriend now and you're like, oh, wow, life's changed. But you still follow me, so we'll just roll with it. But cut ties, honestly, it will really help. Just give yourself time to not have those conversations. Get yourself into a new routine when you're not texting every day, where you're not having conversation every day, because that is the hard part. Like going from having someone you're talking to every single day and having like nice conversations and being asked how you're doing and, you know, saying good morning and good night and all those things, to then having nothing, it's a real big jump and it's a bit of a weird feeling. But if you then go dipping into like texting them, you're only just going to hurt yourself, because it's going to take you longer to get over them. If you just cut ties, even if you just mute them for a couple of weeks and then unmute them, just get yourself back into a new routine where texting them and thinking about them and having them in your life every single day kind of disappears. Then you can like feel better in the situation. Obviously, every single relationship, situationship, dating scenario, everything is different. So it really does depend on your situation. It might have ended, you might have been love bombed and it ended and he was like, I don't want anything. You might have like mutually ended something because like maybe one of you wasn't in the right headspace, or maybe you were just both a bit like, oh, really busy right now, like I can't do it, but I do want to stay in your life or whatever. It really depends on the situation, but I do think it's good regardless. It's just to take a step back and don't message them or talk to them, or just give it a bit of a breathing space. Every situation needs a bit of breathing space, because sometimes in rare occasions they might realize they've done something wrong and come back very quickly, and other times they will just continually walk away and not come back, and that is also okay. But you just have to remember that you need a bit of space. You need to like figure out how you're feeling about it before you start bringing other things in and like retexting them again. Like it's just not worth it. So cut the ties, make it easy for yourself, get over them, and then maybe you can, oh god, I just whacked my microphone, you can reintroduce maybe texting someone else, or you know, maybe unmuting them. Is that how you say it? Yeah, I think so. Very quickly leads me on to the next one, which is don't expect them to come back. They always do come back, but don't expect it. I think sometimes when a situationship's ended and we really like them and we're like, oh my god, we got on so well, like it was so good, I loved this, like he really liked me, like blah blah blah, and you're so like almost besotted by them because you've like just enjoyed this like short small romance so much and it's just been taken away from you so quickly. You almost think, oh well, he'll come back, he'll want me, he'll 100% want me, he'll see me doing well and he'll want me. The thing is, yeah, he will come back, but he'll come back when you've completely got over him. And you'll be like, oh God, please leave me alone. Like, it's happened to me. You only get a message and you think, oh, for fuck's sake, bore off. And you're just like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I'm over you, especially when they treat you like shit and you've done all the self-inner work to get yourself back to where you were, to be the best you. And then they trickle their way in and you're like, excuse me, no. Go away. And that's when they come back, right? That's always when they come back. But when you are freshly out of a relationship, a situationship, whatever, don't expect them to come back soon, because realistically they come back in like a year's time or 6 months time. They might come back in 2 months time, who knows, but realistically most of the time they're not coming back for months and months and months, and by that point you're like way over it, maybe dating someone new, and you've completely forgotten about them, and then you see them like liking a picture or whatever and you think, that used to make me go, oh, he's like my picture, and now it's like, why is he liking it? Why is he liking it? So don't expect them to come back. Obviously, you can have hope that maybe one day you'll be back together. But I think the better way of looking at it is being like, right, okay, well, this has ended. So I'm going to trust the universe. I'm going to trust the journey of my life. And this was supposed to happen because either I'm meant to meet someone new. Maybe I'm not ready for it. Maybe I have something else to do before that. and maybe we'll come back together a lot later down the line. But you just have to trust that the universe has a plan for you and knows what it's doing, and just roll with it. But please don't expect them to come back, because 9 times out of 10 they probably won't the way you want them to. And when they do come back, they'll come back when you're way over them, and you'll be like, oh, please. Something that can really help to make you feel better about something like this ending is thinking about the situation, thinking about the dating scenario you've had, thinking about the moments you've had, everything, all the little things. Think about it. What has it taught you? Can you think of any moments where you think, yeah, I did have a feeling that it wasn't going to work, or I did have that moment where I thought, oh, I'm not sure. Think about it, because often when a situation ends, especially if it ends badly, or it's like, you know, one of those situations you're like, what? You were so in love with me, blah, blah, blah. When you think back, often there's things that you will be like, oh yeah, do you remember that? Oh yeah, do you remember that? And you'll be like, if only I listened to myself. For example, I was dating someone, and I remember being sat in bed and looking at him, and I thought, I don't know. And I texted my friend, I was like, oh, I just have this, I don't know, like, I just don't know. And it ended a few months later, like a month or two later, but it ended. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, like I must have had a feeling. Because if I was sat there thinking, I don't know, then I should have been like, not sure about this one. But I kept going with it because we got on so well. And that's one thing I have learned. Just because you get on with someone doesn't mean that you are destined to be together. You can get on with so many people. You can get on with, you know, you can be good friends with someone and never want to, like, you know, go there with them. But I think just because you get on with someone does not mean to say that you have the compatibility to be in a relationship. There's so much more to it. And that is something I did learn, because whilst we got on so well, and we like genuinely, like, I was like, wow, I don't really have many guy friends. I don't have any guy friends. No, I have a couple. But I don't really have friends that are guys. So I don't, you know, when you don't have that situation where you've met a guy that you get on really well with. But yeah, anyway, basically that was that. And it taught me that I should have listened to myself. And there was a few scenarios and, you know, red flags and stuff. When I look back on it, I'm like, oh, yeah, it wasn't going to work. There was elements where it wasn't going to work. Sometimes you'll look, but you often don't see these things until way later, because until you get out of that love bubble, that feeling that, oh my God, he was so great, oh my God, he's so nice, until you get past that, till you get over it, you don't have that feeling of understanding where the red flags were, where the bad things were, where the signs were. You just have that feeling of, I hope he comes back. Oh, and then when you get past it, you're like, oh my God, do you remember that? Oh my God, yeah, he did this. That's not something I want. Also, one thing to know is, in this situation that has now ended, what can you learn from it and go forward when you date someone new and be like, okay, well, I don't want that, because that really bothered me about him, but I just brushed it off because I really liked him. So there's so many things you can learn from it, and think about what it's taught you, because those things that you're taught or that you learn can really, really help to take you into the next relationship or situationship or whatever, the next dating scenario that you might come across. So yeah, you also need to do your inner work. Every time something shit happens, regardless of whether it's a situationship ending, a relationship ending, losing a friend, or, you know, work not going the way you want it to, you have to do a bit of inner work. You've got to do a bit of inner work on understanding, one, how you're feeling, and let yourself feel the way you're feeling. And two, really thinking about the situation and what it's done to you and what you need to work on and how you feel, and giving yourself a bit of time, giving yourself a bit of space, giving yourself, you know, the time to be the best you and do things that make your heart happy. When we are in relationships and things like that, sometimes you do lose your way a little bit with little bits and bobs that you like to do. So when something ends, you really do need to make sure that you give yourself the time. You give that time that you maybe gave to that person, give it to yourself. take yourself on a date, maybe buy yourself those flowers, do a bit more working out if you were like maybe putting your working out to a side because you wanted to see them more. Or maybe it's, whatever it is. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's just thinking about how you're feeling and getting yourself into a better position. And there is so much inner work you can be doing. Last year when I had my shitty situation, I was also in a low place, as I mentioned earlier, and because of that I had so much work to do on myself. I had a lot to do. I had a lot to deal with my anxiety and getting like understanding that and understanding where that was all coming from and understanding how I was feeling and that it was okay to feel that way, and dealing with that and learning and becoming a better person and like understanding all of that. And then on top of that was the situationship that I then had to get over, and that also took a lot of understanding of why I wasn't ready for that and understanding why it wasn't right for me and all those kind of things. And it took me, I think, about 2 or 3 months to feel like myself again, and I honestly even then wasn't really myself. I don't think it took until like maybe November, December, where I started to feel like actually like myself, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like myself, this is amazing. So it takes time, but it does depend on the situation. Like I was in a really weird headspace then, so it didn't help, whereas right now I'm feeling really, really good because I know in myself like how to deal with a situation like this. But also I am very much in a position right now where I feel like anything I do, I'm fully just putting my trust in the universe and it's supposed to happen, because I've had a few situations where the universe has really helped me out and I'm like, okay, I really trust that this is the right path. But I've only just got to this point where I genuinely just feel like this is the path I'm supposed to go on, and just understanding that, okay, well, there's a reason for it. I don't know the reason right now, but I'll later down the line understand the reason and I'll be like, oh, I'm glad that happened. Whether, I come back with this person or we don't, or I find someone new or I meet someone even better, whatever it is, it's meant to happen the way it's meant to happen. And that's just where I'm at right now. But that has taken a lot of work. And for anyone who, follows me on social media or anything like that, I have been doing a lot of inner work. And I always talk about, being single on here. And I talk about how, like, it's okay to have evenings in and living the life you want to live. Don't ever feel like you're broken up with someone and, right, well, I'm going to go out and get drunk and do all these things. You can if you want. You're more than welcome to. That's obviously, you can do that. For me, doesn't serve a purpose. Doesn't do anything for me. I've done it in the past. Does it do anything? No. If anything, it just like, it doesn't help for me. So inner work really took a lot of time of being on my own and understanding how I was feeling and really, just taking my time. It takes time. But I promise you, you'll look back and be like, whoa, glad I did that. Inner work is important. Very, very important. Even if you feel like you don't need to, it is really important. Talking of inner work and, feeling yourself and being back to yourself. Also, remember that your worth is not based on how the situation ended or what they did to you or how they made you feel. Your worth is based on how you perceive yourself to be. You are the person who can understand how worthy you are. You have to prove to yourself that you are worthy of everything. When you let someone else dictate your worth, you're just letting someone else choose whether you're worthy or not. And actually, you are the person who's in control of how worthy you are. And believe you me, you're worthy of everything. But sometimes we do have to go through these shitty situations in order to understand how we are feeling about things and how we need to learn and how we need to grow and all those kind of things. Like, it takes a lot of time to just really get your head in the right headspace. Oh my God, the sun keeps going in and out. I'm so sorry if you're watching this because it's like dark, then sunny, then dark, then sunny. But yeah, your worth is not defined by how a situation ended. Your worth is defined by you. And if a guy can't see your worth, then they were not the right person for you anyway. You just didn't need them at all. And I do believe if a guy is willing to walk away, completely cut ties, never speak to you again, obviously depending on the situation, because some situations you might not cut ties, but for the most part you probably are. if he's willing to walk away and cut ties and is just willing to leave you and doesn't care, you know, says goodbye, says, I don't want anything, walks away, never speaks to you again, then they were never the right person for you anyway. And second of all, if you're willing to walk away from me, all right then, you walk. You continue walking. If you're willing to walk away from me, you can continue walking and you can leave, and just don't turn around. And when you do turn around, I'll be long gone, because you'll be thinking, oh, actually, she was really good. And then they'll come running back and you'll be like, no, thank you. It's a no from me. So, yeah, they will come back at some point and you'll be like, oh, why slide into my DMs? Go away. I want to end this episode on something that I think is really important to think about. I have mentioned this in previous episodes, but I think this is something that we all should think about when you're in this situation, especially, is that you could have met someone and that person might have been someone that you thought, wow, he's the man of my dreams. He's so lovely, he's caring, he's loyal. Probably wasn't loyal in the end, but that's not the point. He's just, I can see myself getting married to him. I can see myself having kids with him. He wants kids. He's really fun, and he's got a successful job and blah, 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 all these things. Just because the guy presented in front of you is what you think is your dream man, and he then walks away from you, does not mean to say that you've lost your dream man. Because 9 times out of 10, especially when you're dating and you're learning more about what you want and where you want to go and how you're feeling, some people are very certain and they know instantly. So when it comes to dating someone, straight up, they know, fine. But sometimes you don't. If you have met someone and you're like, they're the man of my dreams, oh my God, and they have walked away, they've left you, it hasn't worked out, then they were never your man of your dreams. Does that make sense? They were never the man of your dreams. Because if someone is willing to walk away from you and leave your life, but you think they're the man of your dreams, they are not the man of your dreams. They are just someone who gave you something that you thought was the man of your dreams, but actually when you look back on it, you'll be like, oh well, he wasn't this or he wasn't that, he didn't do this, and oh actually he did make me really pissed off this one time and that really bothered me, or whatever. The man of your dreams, the person you're supposed to be with, will be in your life no matter what. You might have some tough situations, you might have horrible situations to go through, but they will be in your life. So if a guy walks away from you and he leaves, if he's meant for you, he will come back into your life. Like, genuinely, the people that are meant to be in your life will come back to you. The people that are meant to leave will leave. And sometimes these people come back into your life a year later. Sometimes these people come back into your life 2 months later. But every person that's meant to be in your life will be in your life. So if you have to let them go for a moment, you've got to let them go. And then one day they'll come back. If they're meant to be in your life, they'll come back and you'll be like, oh my God, wow, like this was meant to happen. Sounds like something's being drilled outside and I don't know what it is. But also on the opposite side is if the guy goes away and he never comes back, then he was never meant for you anyway. But you just have to literally trust that the universe knows what it's doing. It knows the situations and it understands that what you need, you have to go through certain situations to learn things. Everything you do and go through is a lesson. Sometimes you do have to date about 10 guys in different scenarios to understand different situations and understand how to deal with them and to know when you're in a situation that's not for you. But obviously it takes a few different situations to get through to get there. But the guy that is meant for you will be in your life no matter what. So you've just got to trust that every situation that happens, every situation that you go through is meant to happen, and it's meant to get you to where you're supposed to be with the right person, and you'll just be grateful that you've gone through all of these things to get you to that person. It just takes a bit of time, and you just have to trust that everything is working out how it's supposed to, because honest to God, when you believe that and you go through that, life is so much better. You're not expecting someone to come into your life at a certain time. Like there's nothing worse than sitting around and living life but expecting a man to come in. You're like constantly looking for it, because believe Believe me, I've done it. I've sat around and been like, not sat around, but like been out and about and been like, wonder if I'll meet my husband today. Wonder if I'll see him. No, it doesn't work like that. You've just got to live your life, enjoy life. Everything will happen how it's supposed to. You've just got to get your mindset in place and feel the best you. And the man of your dreams will come into your life and they'll never leave. And maybe they'll leave and they'll come back. Maybe they won't leave. Maybe you'll meet someone you think is the man of your dreams and you're like, oh my God, I finally found him. And he'll walk away. Never your man of your dreams. He was never the man. He was never the man. So just remember that. The right person will be there for you and be there and stick with you no matter what. So just remember that. Remember, you've still got time to get over your situationship. You've still got time to feel better about it. You've still got time to just breathe and understand it and feel sad. It's okay. And you've still got time to find the man of your dreams. So yeah, I hope this gave you some sort of insight and made you feel a little bit better, and maybe give you a little few tips to make yourself feel better about your situationship, because it's okay to feel sad about it. We all go through them. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of us that are single these days, we're going through them, and you're not the only one. So yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you, but I will see you all in next week's episode. Bye!